Hello there. This weekend was a really fascinating one to sit down and look at how the right wing political parties are dealing with the media because it was not a good weekend to be a member of a right wing political party in front of the media. It was just a train wreck. You had Christopher Luxon on Q&A who got flummoxed and tripped up on just about every question, particularly around their massive signature tax plan, which, as Jack Tame pointed out, would require at least 3 Ponsonbys sold every year for them to be able to fund just a small portion of it. And the CTU came out with a line-by-line breakdown of what would need to be cut based on their own criteria, and it was brutal. On News Hub Nation, you saw Jenna Lynch go in with Brooke Van Velden from ACT and Simon O'Connor from National, where ACT, the Libertarian Party, where you should be able to do pretty much whatever you want, turned around and said, we will make sure that the poorest of the poor are going to be controlled in how they spend their money. That's really concerning. Like, really concerning. And O'Connor trying to downplay his stances on things like abortion, his conservative Christianism coming out in full force and being thrown at him, which he tried to deflect. You saw ACT lose another candidate for quote unquote personal reasons, but I will deal with that in another video tomorrow. And then you saw Chris Luxon again walk away from an interview with News Hub when they started grilling him about issues with his tax problems. It's a fascinating thing to sit down and watch. And it's really confusing for some people because for a long time, right wing media, which we have, like our media leans right, it's not always hard right, but it leans right, have given them a little bit of a soft pass. But now we're in the midst of the election cycle and they're starting to push back. The right wing parties who have had a softball approach from the media for a really long time don't know how to handle it, don't handle the pressure well, and it's really starting to show. And it's important that this sort of thing happens now. It would have been better if it happened 6 months ago or a year ago. But it's important that we see this happening now because this is the period where most people make up their minds in who they're going to vote for. And by showcasing exactly how ill equipped some of these parties and these people are for handling that kind of pressure, just media scrutiny itself, it really brings into doubt for some people how well these people would actually work in government. How are they going to achieve what they say they're going to achieve, and who is it that they're actually working for? Which is really quite fascinating. As O'Connor said, he's on the peripheral of being the squeezed middle. Like, that kind of thing for somebody who's earning $150,000 a year is so out of touch. It is ridiculous. And O'Connor has a really weird electorate. Tamaki has not only the richest person in the country living in it, but it's also got Glen Innes, which is not a rich area at all. And his argument was, well, they're still going to get like $10 a week. It showcased a lot of the issues that these right-wing parties have put forward with some of their policies and some of how ill thought out those policies actually are. It's really fascinating to sit down and watch. And the more pressure that goes on them, the more we're going to see how well these parties would handle something like being in power. And so far, that has not been particularly encouraging.